Have you ever wanted to build your own computer? Maybe you want to create a robot or a smart device for your home. This is where the Raspberry Pi comes in. It is a very small computer, about the size of a credit card. But do not let its small size fool you. This tiny machine is powerful enough to do many of the things a regular desktop computer can do. You can use it to browse the internet, write documents, and even play games. It is a fantastic tool for learning about computers and electronics. The best part is that it is very affordable, making it accessible to almost everyone, from young students to experienced makers. The main idea behind the Raspberry Pi was to create a cheap and simple computer for education. Its creators wanted to inspire a new generation of programmers and engineers. They saw that many schools didn't have the resources to teach practical computer science. The Raspberry Pi was designed to fill that gap. It gives students a physical device they can hold, explore, and program without fear of breaking an expensive machine. This hands-on approach makes learning about technology much more fun and engaging. It takes the mystery out of computers and shows that anyone can learn to control them and build amazing things. So, what exactly can you do with it? The possibilities are almost endless. You can turn it into a media center to stream movies and TV shows to your television. You could build a retro gaming console and play classic video games from your childhood. Many people use Raspberry Pi boards to control smart home devices, like lights, thermostats, and security cameras. It is also a popular choice for building robots, weather stations, and even art installations. The Raspberry Pi is like a blank canvas for your digital ideas, waiting for you to bring them to life with a bit of code and creativity. The purpose of the Raspberry Pi goes beyond just being a fun gadget. It is a tool for empowerment. It gives people the power to create their own technology instead of just using what others have made. This is very important in today's digital world. Understanding how computers work is a valuable skill. The Raspberry Pi makes this knowledge available to everyone, regardless of their age or background. It encourages problem-solving, creativity, and a do-it-yourself spirit. It is more than just a piece of hardware. It is the heart of a global community of learners, makers, and innovators who share their projects and help each other learn. The story of Raspberry Pi begins at the University of Cambridge in the United Kingdom. A group of computer scientists, including Eben Upton, were worried. They noticed that the number of students applying to study computer science was falling. The students who did apply often lacked practical programming skills. They believed this was because computers had become too polished and closed off. In the 1980s, kids learned to code on simple machines like the BBC Micro. The Raspberry Pi was created to bring back that spirit of exploration and discovery. The goal was to make a computer so cheap that every child could have one to experiment with. The first Raspberry Pi, known as the Model B, was launched in 2012. It was an instant success. The creators expected to sell a few thousand units, but they sold hundreds of thousands in just a few months. This tiny computer captured the imagination of people all over the world. It had a simple design with a 700 MHz single-core processor and just 256 megabytes of memory. It was not very powerful, but it was enough to get started with programming and electronics. This first model laid the foundation for everything that would come after it, proving that there was a huge demand for an affordable, programmable computer. Over the years, the Raspberry Pi has gone through many changes and improvements. Each new model has become more powerful while keeping the price low. The Raspberry Pi 2, released in 2015, was a big step up with a faster quad-core processor. Then came the Raspberry Pi 3 in 2016, which added built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, making it much easier to connect to the internet and other devices. The Raspberry Pi 4, launched in 2019, was another huge leap forward. It offered desktop-level performance with a much faster CPU, more memory options, and the ability to power two 4K displays at once. Alongside the main models, the Raspberry Pi Foundation also created other versions to meet different needs. The Raspberry Pi Zero is an even smaller and cheaper version, perfect for projects where space is limited, like wearables or small robots. It cost just a few dollars. Then, there is the Raspberry Pi Pico, which is not a computer but a microcontroller. It is designed for controlling electronic components and is even cheaper than the Zero. This family of devices ensures that there is a Raspberry Pi for every type of project, from simple blinking lights to complex computer systems. Each new release continues the mission of making technology accessible to all. Let's take a closer look at the Raspberry Pi and see what makes it tick. The most important part of the board is the processor, or CPU. This is the brain of the computer. It does all the thinking and calculations. Newer models, like the Raspberry Pi 5, have a powerful quad-core processor. This means it has 4 cores or processing units that can work on different tasks at the same time. This makes the computer feel fast and responsive, even when you are doing several things at once. The CPU is part of a larger chip called the System on a Chip, or SoC, which also includes the graphics processor, or GPU, and other components. Next up is the memory, also known as RAM. RAM is the computer's short-term memory. It holds the data for the programs that are currently running. The more RAM you have, the more things your computer can do at the same time without slowing down. The original Raspberry Pi had very little RAM, but modern versions have much more. The Raspberry Pi 4 and 5, for example, are available with different amounts of RAM, ranging from 1 GB all the way up to 8 GB. This flexibility allows you to choose a model that fits your needs and budget. For simple projects, 1 GB might be enough, but for a desktop replacement, 8 GB is a great choice. Of course, a computer needs a way to connect to other devices. The Raspberry Pi has many ports for this purpose. You will find several USB ports, which you can use to connect a keyboard, mouse, or external storage drives. There is also an Ethernet port for a wired internet connection, though most recent models also have built-in Wi-Fi. For video output, there are 1 or 2 micro HDMI ports, so you can connect it to a monitor or a TV. Power is supplied through a USB-C port, which is the same type of connector used by many modern smartphones. These ports make it easy to set up your Raspberry Pi just like a regular computer. One of the most special features of the Raspberry Pi is the row of metal pins along one edge of the board. These are the general-purpose input-output, or GPIO pins. These pins are your gateway to the world of electronics. You can connect them to all sorts of components, like LEDs, buttons, sensors, and motors. By writing simple programs, you can control these components. You can make an LED blink, read the temperature from a sensor, or make a motor spin. The GPIO pins are what make the Raspberry Pi so powerful for building custom hardware projects, robots, and smart devices. They are the bridge between the digital world of software and the physical world. A computer is not much use without an operating system. The operating system, or OS, is the main software that manages the hardware and lets you run other programs. The Raspberry Pi can run several different operating systems, most of which are based on Linux. The official and most recommended OS is called Raspberry Pi OS. It is specially designed to work perfectly with the Raspberry Pi hardware. It comes with everything you need to get started, including a web browser, office software, programming tools, and even some games. It has a friendly desktop interface that is easy for beginners to use. Raspberry Pi OS is the best choice for most people, but it is not the only option. If you are already familiar with other Linux distributions, you might prefer to use one of them. Ubuntu, one of the most popular desktop Linux systems, has versions that are made specifically for the Raspberry Pi. This is a great choice if you want to use your Raspberry Pi as a small server or a desktop computer and want access to Ubuntu's large software library. Other options include Manjaro, which is known for being user-friendly and up-to-date, and Arch Linux, which is for more advanced users who want to build their system from the ground up. Beyond traditional desktop operating systems, there are also specialized systems for specific tasks. For example, if you want to turn your Raspberry Pi into a retro gaming machine, you can use an OS like RetroPie or Laka. These systems boot directly into a gaming-friendly interface that lets you easily browse and play games from old consoles. If your goal is to create a media center, you might choose an OS like LibreELEC or OSMC. These systems are built around the Kodi Media Player software, providing a simple and beautiful interface for watching your movies, TV shows, and listening to music. Installing an operating system on a Raspberry Pi is very easy. All you need is a microSD card, which acts as the computer's hard drive. The Raspberry Pi Foundation provides a free tool called the Raspberry Pi Imager. You run this tool on your main computer, choose the operating system you want to install, and select your microSD card. The Imager then downloads the OS and writes it to the card for you. Once it is done, you just pop the microSD card into your Raspberry Pi, connect the power, and your new computer will boot up. This simple process makes it easy to try out different operating systems. One of the best things about the Raspberry Pi is, honestly, the huge number of amazing projects you can build with it. The only limit is your imagination. A very popular project for beginners is building a smart home hub. You can use your Raspberry Pi to control lights, smart plugs, and other devices in your home. With software like Home Assistant, you can create a central dashboard to manage everything. You can set up automations, like turning on the lights when you get home or turning off all devices when you go to bed. This is a great way to learn about networking and programming while making your home a little smarter. If you love video games, especially the classics, then building a retro gaming console is a must-do project. As mentioned before, operating systems like RetroPie make this incredibly easy. You just install the OS, copy over your game files, those are called ROMs, and connect a USB controller. Suddenly you have a tiny machine that can play thousands of games from classic systems like the Nintendo Entertainment System, Sega Genesis, and even the original PlayStation. It is a wonderful trip down memory lane and a fantastic project to share with friends and family. You can even build a custom arcade cabinet for a truly authentic experience. The Raspberry Pi is also perfect for creating a home media center. If you have a large collection of digital movies, TV shows, and music, a Raspberry Pi can help you organize it all and play it on your big screen TV. Using software like Kodi, which powers systems like LibreELEC, you can create a beautiful library with cover art, summaries, and trailers. It feels just like using a commercial streaming service, but with your own media collection. The latest Raspberry Pi models are powerful enough to play high definition and even 4K video smoothly, making them a cheap and powerful alternative to expensive media players. For those interested in photography and video, the Raspberry Pi can be a powerful tool. You can connect a special camera module directly to the board. With this setup, you can create a time-lapse camera to capture a flower blooming or a construction project over several days. You could also build a security camera that detects motion and sends you a notification on your phone. Some people have even used Raspberry Pi cameras to monitor wildlife in their backyard, creating live streams or recording videos of birds and other animals. These projects combine programming, electronics, and creativity in a very satisfying way. Robotics is honestly one of the most exciting fields you can explore with a Raspberry Pi. The board's combination of processing power and those handy GPIO pins makes it the perfect brain for a robot. You can totally start with something simple, like a two-wheeled robot that can drive around and avoid obstacles. You will need a robot chassis kit, which usually comes with motors, wheels, and a motor controller board. The Raspberry Pi connects to the motor controller, and you write a program to tell the motors when to turn, how fast to go, and in which direction. This is such a fantastic introduction to the basics of robotics and control systems. To make your robot smarter, you can add sensors. An ultrasonic distance sensor, for example, works kind of like a bat's sonar. It sends out a sound pulse and measures how long it takes for the echo to come back. This tells the robot how far away an object is. With this information, you can program your robot to stop or turn when it gets too close to a wall. You could also add line-following sensors, which can detect a black line on a white surface. This allows your robot to follow a predefined path, which is a pretty common challenge in robotics competitions. Once you have mastered the basics, you can move on to more advanced projects. You could add a camera to your robot, giving it the ability to see. With some programming using libraries like OpenCV, you can teach your robot to recognize colors, shapes, or even faces. Imagine a robot that can follow a red ball or find and drive towards your face. This is where you really start to touch on the field of computer vision, which is a branch of artificial intelligence. The Raspberry Pi is actually powerful enough to handle these kinds of tasks, opening up a world of possibilities for intelligent and interactive robots. Building a robot is not just about the final product. It is about the learning journey. You will learn about electronics as you connect motors and sensors. You will learn about programming as you write the code to control your robot's behavior. You will learn about problem solving as you figure out why your robot is not doing what you expect it to do. It is a challenging but incredibly rewarding experience. There are tons of kits, tutorials, and online communities dedicated to Raspberry Pi robotics, so you will find plenty of help and inspiration along the way. Building your first robot can honestly be the start of a lifelong passion. So, you are excited to start your own Raspberry Pi project. The next step is to buy one. Raspberry Pi boards and accessories are sold by a global network of approved resellers. It is always best to buy from these official sellers to make sure you are getting a genuine product and good support. You can find a list of approved resellers for your country on the Raspberry Pi website. Some well-known global sellers include Adafruit, SparkFun, Pimoroni, and the Pi Hut. Many large electronics retailers and online marketplaces like Amazon also sell Raspberry Pi products, but be sure to check that the seller is reputable. The price of a Raspberry Pi depends on the model you choose. The goal has always been to keep the price low. The flagship Raspberry Pi 5, the most powerful model available as of 2025, starts at around $60 for the 4GB version and goes up to about $80 for the 8GB version. The older but still very capable Raspberry Pi 4 Model B is a bit cheaper, often found for between $35 and $75 depending on the amount of RAM. These prices are for the board by itself. You will also need to buy a power supply, a microSD card, and cables, which will add to the total cost. If you are on a tight budget or need a smaller board, there are other great options. The Raspberry Pi Zero 2W is a fantastic choice. It is much smaller than the main models, but still has a quad-core processor and built-in Wi-Fi. It costs only around $15. This makes it perfect for small embedded projects where size and cost are important. For controlling simple electronics, the Raspberry Pi Pico W is the cheapest option of all. It is a microcontroller with Wi-Fi, and it costs just a few dollars, typically around $6. It is a different kind of board, but perfect for learning electronics. When you are buying your first Raspberry Pi, it is often a good idea to look for a starter kit. These kits usually include the Raspberry Pi board itself, plus all the essential accessories you need to get started. A typical kit will contain a power supply, a microSD card with Raspberry Pi OS pre-installed, a case to protect the board, and HDMI and USB cables. While buying a kit is slightly more expensive than buying each part separately, it is very convenient for beginners. It ensures you have all the correct compatible parts, so you can open the box and start your first project right away without any hassle. The future of the Raspberry Pi is honestly incredibly exciting. The trend of making each new model more powerful while keeping the price low is likely to continue. We can expect future Raspberry Pi boards to have even faster processors, more memory, and faster connectivity options like new Wi-Fi standards. This increasing performance means the Raspberry Pi will be able to handle even more demanding tasks. It is already a capable desktop computer for many people, and future versions will only blur the line further between these tiny, affordable boards and traditional PCs. This opens up new possibilities for education, industry, and hobbyist projects. One of the most significant future trends for Raspberry Pi is artificial intelligence and machine learning. These fields require a lot of processing power, which was once only available on expensive, high-end computers. However, as Raspberry Pi boards become more powerful, they are increasingly being used for AI projects. You can already run AI models for tasks like image recognition and natural language processing on a Raspberry Pi 4 or 5. To make this even better, we are starting to see special hardware called AI accelerators being developed for the Raspberry Pi. These add-on boards can dramatically speed up AI calculations. In the near future, we might see Raspberry Pi models with AI acceleration hardware built directly into the main chip. This would be a real game changer. It would make it possible to run complex AI applications efficiently on a small, low-power device. Imagine a smart security camera that can not only detect motion, but also recognize specific people or animals, or a voice assistant that runs entirely on the device without needing to send your data to the cloud. This kind of edge AI is a major area of growth, and the Raspberry Pi is perfectly positioned to be a key player in making this technology accessible to everyone. Beyond AI, the Raspberry Pi will continue to push into new areas. The release of the Raspberry Pi Pico showed a willingness to create different types of devices for different needs. We might see more specialized Raspberry Pi products in the future. Perhaps a version designed specifically for industrial control systems, or one optimized for automotive applications. The Raspberry Pi Foundation also continues to develop its own silicon, like the RP2040 microcontroller and the RP1 chip in the Raspberry Pi 5. This custom chip design gives them more control and allows them to create features tailored specifically for their community of users, ensuring a bright and innovative future. In conclusion, the Raspberry Pi is much more than just a small piece of technology. It is a revolution in a tiny package. It started with a simple mission: to make computing and programming accessible and fun for young people. It has succeeded beyond anyone's wildest dreams. By providing a powerful, low-cost computer, it has unlocked the creative potential of millions of people around the world. From students taking their first steps in coding to experienced engineers building complex systems, the Raspberry Pi has become an essential tool for learning, creating, and innovating in the digital age. We have seen how the Raspberry Pi has evolved from a simple educational board into a family of powerful devices capable of a huge range of tasks. Whether you want to build a desktop computer, a retro gaming machine, a smart home hub, or your very first robot, there is a Raspberry Pi model that is perfect for the job. The combination of powerful hardware, user-friendly software like Raspberry Pi OS, and the incredible GPIO pins creates a platform with almost limitless possibilities. It is a testament to the idea that great things can come in small packages. The impact of the Raspberry Pi extends far beyond the world of hobbyists. It is used in schools and universities to teach the next generation of scientists and engineers. It is used in developing countries to provide access to technology where it was previously unavailable. It is even used in industrial settings for monitoring and control, and in scientific research for data collection. This small computer is helping to solve real-world problems and is empowering people everywhere to build the technology of the future themselves, rather than just being passive consumers of it. The journey of the Raspberry Pi is far from over. As we look to the future, with exciting developments in areas like artificial intelligence and custom silicon, the potential for this tiny computer continues to grow. It remains a symbol of curiosity, creativity, and the power of community. The Raspberry Pi has shown that if you give people the right tools, they will do amazing things. It has proven that a small idea, born out of a desire to help others learn, can grow to have a truly giant impact on the world. The adventure is just beginning,